Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage. It's time to see if I can do something about the brakes on the Datsun. At the moment the handbrake is working just fine, but the foot brake is really low to the ground and pretty much nothing happens except this one just blocks. So I think the only brake that works at the current moment is this one. So all pressure is going to that one. I could be mistaken because it's a bit difficult to feel on a car if the rear brakes are working when it's drum brakes, but it feels that way. There is a possibility that all the braking components are stuck except this one, but it could also be something to do with the air in the system. It seems as though this car has been worked on quite a lot. There is the paint job and there is other stuff, and I have a feeling that the brake system has also been overhauled at some point, but not working. So maybe it's just not bled. I don't know, but let's try to find out. And again, nothing was stuck. This one doesn't like to take off these nuts if they are not well lubricated and torqued. And this is just really nice. A lot of love has been put into this car at some point. And also power-coated rims and new tires, so it's not all bad. This is the brake caliper that I expect actually are working just fine, unlike the other ones. But I can get this one to block rather easy on the road. And I can see that all the hardware, although dirty and rusty, looks brand new. There's no lip on the disc either. That also seems to be a rather unworn disc at least. So that's pretty good news. Let's check out the rear. Like that. And again, it's sturdy in here. It is kind of rusty, especially this seal out here or lip. There's nothing much I can do about that. But the back plate looks all right. But what is striking is that all the hardware looks new. Old but new. So I think this will be serviceable as it is. And that would be really nice. Also, there is no oil in here. So the seal seems to be all right. And look at this cute shock absorber. It is so thin. And also the handbrake mechanism is something I just noticed. We have a rod going across and a cable that just pulls that point on the rear differential. I never seen a handbrake work like that. Oh, by the way, I noticed that the exhaust system is, while not original, it's home built, but it's also brand new. Yeah, as I told you, I think a lot of love has went into this car. Another thing I noticed is the brake lines up here is copper. That's great. So I don't need to change those because they don't rust. The brake line up here looks all right. It would be nice to change, but once again, I'm trying to revive this car as cheaply as possible, but I want it to be safe, of course. But getting parts to this car is also very difficult, so yeah. It's a funny construction, this brake caliper. It reminds me a lot about the Saabs. It has kind of the same design. Oh, and by the way, people tell me that these cars tended to rust extremely badly. And as you can see on mine, it is not rusty, but you can see patches everywhere. Someone has really been welding a lot on this car. And it's not the most beautiful work in the world, but so far I haven't found anything that seems bad. They have just not tried to hide anything, really. But the repair seems strong and healthy. I noticed on this steering arm that I need to change the rubbers at least. I hope they're good enough, the joints, but I have to take them off, clean them, and see if I can find a rubber that fits. Again, it's difficult to get parts to this, so I'm gonna lower the car slightly now because I want to take a look at the brake master cylinder and the brake lines up in the engine bay. By the way, I removed it on the other side as well, and it's the same story. The difference is that I'm pretty sure that these brakes are not working at all. So either stuck or just not bled. We'll see. So to get a bit better access, I'm just real quickly gonna remove the air filter box for the 1 millionth time on this car. But we got the brake master down here, and I would like to get some better room for working. So I would just like to quickly stress that I have never worked on the brakes on a Datsun before, and I don't really know how it's set up, but what I understand so far is that we got a brake master with 2 reservoirs down here. That means it's a 2-circuit one. Got bleed screws on the sides, and we actually got a vacuum booster back here, which is really nice. So someone told me that the brakes were bad on these. I don't think they were, because the setup seems to be really nice with the drum, with the brake calipers in the front and the booster and all that. So I think if it works, it should be pretty efficient. From the brake booster, we got 2 lines going into this thingy. This reminds me a lot about the brake bias valve on the, or not brake bias actually, but the valve on a Volvo 240. As far as I know, and I think this is the same, this is one circuit of the system and this is the other. This is the 2 ports from the master. In here is most likely a piston that, in case this line breaks, the piston will be shoved by the pressure on this side all the way over here and block this circuit, so you can still brake, but only on one circuit, and not lose all the pressure. I'm pretty sure that is what this is. It also got this little wire that will tell the instrument cluster or turn on a warning light if this system is detecting a leak and moves the piston inside of here. Maybe that needs to be reset. I don't know, but maybe it works, I don't know. But from here, this one goes to the front caliper. And then these 2 goes to this divider over here. This divider sends 1 brake line to the rear and 1 to the front caliper. So we only have 1 line going to the rear. All the brake lines are made of iron up here. It's steel brake lines, but they all look nice. It is not something that I think needs to be changed, although these down here underneath the brake master looks really bad. I think it has been leaking. Brake fluid is really not good with paint. Oh, well, it is, but it removes it. And I think that has been happening on this. I even see a slight moisture right there, which maybe could actually explain with the problem we have. So what I want to do is actually to remove the brake master and just clean it up. Maybe take it apart, I don't know. Remember, I don't have any seals for it, so I need to be careful not to destroy those who are in there. On the other hand, if it's necessary to do, then I will have to do it, of course. But I need to change those brake lines at least. To begin with, I'm just going to remove as much of the brake fluid that I can, because I don't want to spill it everywhere. And so I'm just going to... Oh, it looks really clean down there, especially the back one. Ah, that's good news. I really think this has been rebuilt and not really used, because that is brake fluid. Especially this looks brand new. Oops. Take a look at the color in here. It will go completely black almost if it's old, really old. It is contracting water over time. This is not perfect, but it's not bad either. Yeah, there we go. And when I get this all the way out, it's going to leak some fluid out. And you don't want this kind of stuff on paint, because it will just strip it off and then it will start rusting. I have decided to go ahead and take this apart and actually throw it into the ultrasonic cleaner, but beforehand I will need to take the plunger out because I don't want to damage that. That makes it possible to actually assess if it's a good idea to reuse this, because I can see that on the rubber. It would be best to rebuild it, but again, look at it. It looks it looks dirty, but not worn out. Now let's see if we can even take it apart, because sometimes that can be impossible if it's worn out. I don't know what this is, but I think it is solidified grease in here. But it is for sure working, because it's still pushing out a lot of fluid. Or maybe it's time to just use a bit of pressurized air. Like that. There gotta be another one in there, I think. Maybe this one needs to come out to make the middle plunger come out. I don't know, but it is stuck down there. That's for sure. But it is moving, so yeah. Okay, I was actually thinking that maybe it was stuck down there. That would explain why one entire circuit wouldn't work. But it's just held in place by something right here, I guess. There we go. Then we should be able to push out the piston using some air. There we go. Bit more pressure than needed. There we go. It's not looking too bad actually. The rubbers are fine and soft. I think they will clean up and can be reused, but of course it would have been really nice to change them, but I don't think it's necessary, and I don't have them. So now the parts have gotten a long, nice, hot shower with some good vibrations. And let's see. Yeah, it's a lot better. It is a lot better. This machine is nice. This just needs to be dried up real good. I don't want any water anywhere. And then we can reassemble it. So now I'm ready to reassemble everything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a cap of a spray bottle. I always take these off and keep them because they're good for so much stuff. And you get a lot of them when you do stuff like I do. And I'm going to put some brake fluid into that to use as a lubricant for the inside parts of the brake master. Now the brake master is not looking brand new, but this is pretty good. Of course it could be cleaned up even further, but it is clean enough and it's dry, so it's ready to be reassembled. I'm going to lubricate the inside. And then I'm going to put this plunger in. And then the next one. We're going to reinstall this one. I think it would be wise to just press it all the way down before tightening that nut up just to be sure that it's seated all the way down. Then fit this washer part right here. And I'm actually giving it some grease down here just to lubricate everything up and avoid it getting stuck. Then we're going to tighten up this one. Just going to grease it slightly on the threads because it gets really dry when it's in that sonic cleaner. That was not WD-40 per se. Oh, well, it is, but it's the spray grease kind. And I think it's really good for this. Like that. And then this little filter thingy goes in. And both of them like that. And there we go. I'm not going to call it rebuilt because it isn't. It's just taken apart, cleaned up and put back together. There are no new parts in this. They seem okay. It could be, I could be wrong about that, but I don't really have any. It's hard to get these parts and I want to keep the cost down slightly. So this, I hope, is good enough. If not, then I will have to do something else. Before fitting it again, I'm just going to make 2 new brake lines for those down here that seems rusty and crusty. And yeah, I'm just going to do that real quick and then take you back when it's fitted. I just finished up making the new brake lines and installed them also, but just wanted to show you the old pipes that I took off because I was worried about this end area because it's rusty. It's not bad. It could have been cleaned up and painted, but now it's changed. But now the brake master is back in with new brake lines down there, routed all the way around. And I just want to show you the amount of mounting details there is on this car that is surprising me a lot. It almost feels like a Benz or something like that. Definitely, if you take a look at a French car, for instance, from this year, it will just be wires and stuff all around hanging loose and all that, almost from factory like that. But on this one, you have the brake pipes is held with a small bracket down there, and then with another bracket down there. And also this pipe that goes from the intake to the vacuum boost, to the brake booster, got a little thingy right there that the hose attaches to. It's just so neat. Everything is just so neat. It's really, I really like it. The only thing that lets it down slightly right now is my skills in routing copper lines. It's not as good as the original, but at least it will be tight for a long time. So now I'm going to fill them up with brake fluid and try to bleed them a little bit, and then we're going to see if we can get brake fluid to all the wheels. Unfortunately, I cannot use my brake bleeder for this because I cannot pressurize these with the connections that I have. So I'm going to try to vacuum bleed them, and maybe I would have to get some help for this because the best thing to do would be to have someone pressing the brake. So, but firstly, I'm just going to see if I can make fluid come into this line by just gently pressing the brake. Can you see the fluid in the line now? And then it gets sucked back. There we go. There we go. That is bench bled. Well, I don't think it's called a bench bleeding when it's not in the bench actually. But I love these nipples on the side for doing it. It's a lot easier than others. So now I'm going to go around and try to bleed all 4 wheels. And then hopefully we can make the brakes actually move. And while vacuum bleeding sure works, I don't really like it because you cannot trust it. I mean, of course you can trust it, but it just works in a different way. So you cannot just go on bleeding until you see no air bubbles because it will constantly make air bubbles. You'll just have to feel when it's when you think it's good to go, and then test the pedal. I like the other system with pressure on the brake master a lot more, but it do work. So let's try. There we go. That's one side. I'm gonna go around all 4 corners and do this, and then we'll see if there are any life to these brakes as they are. So everything actually bled out completely fine. Is it called bled out? I got all the old fluid out. I now got nice clear fluid all on all 4 wheels. I cleaned up the braking hardware in here, and everything seems pretty fine. I'm quite impressed about the self-adjusting mechanism on these. It's really a lot better than most cars from this era, I must say. The backing plate and dust shield, the backing plate is all right, but the dust shield part of it is not good. It could be an issue, we'll see, but getting a new one would be really difficult, I'm pretty sure of. So it's the same at the front. The dust cover behind the disc, it's not really necessarily for it to be there. It's not really doing a big job other than keeping crap from hitting the disc from the inside, but it needs to be there for the MOT. It is quite rusty. I think it's just on the edge of being okay, but we'll see about that. If not, then I will maybe have to create one myself. But I want to show you something. This is the before mentioned, it's actually the braking cylinder, but it's also got this adjusting mechanism that is really clever and nicely built. It is completely easy to turn, and everything just seems to work. It's really impressive, especially from a 70 car. But look at this. I'm just going to try to hit the brake pedal with this piece of metal. Like so. And then by filming down here and pressing the brake, maybe you could see that. It is moving, so the rear brake is working. Same on the other side. I don't really have any clever way of testing the front brakes being alone, but it's really easy to feel when I just go for a little test spin. So I think I'm just gonna put everything back together now and then test the brakes. I'm gonna fit all the tires, the drums, and then test it. These are some of the best brakes that I have experienced in a long time, even on new cars. This is amazing. It's really good. So as long as it doesn't start to leak or anything, I think the brakes are more than good enough for this. So that's a win. So the Datsun is now able to brake using the pedal on the floor, which is nice. Before it was just working on the handbrake, which was also very efficient, so it wasn't really that dangerous to drive it. Well, of course it was, but it was able to stop by its own. Now it seems to be working on all 4. It's always difficult to check, and I cannot really drive it on the roads because it's not road legal and there's no light on it or anything. But as far as I can feel, the brakes, the pedal feels really nice. It is instantly grabbing, and there's a lot of braking force in this car. I'm rather surprised about that. I think it's working perfectly. One thing I noticed when I started it up was that it was starting to squeak on that generator once again. Remember in the last video, I tightened it up because it was squeaking. I went to check, and I'm pretty sure the belt is fine. Then I measured on the battery, and it was kicking out 17 volts, which is way too much and could actually damage the battery. So I have disconnected the generator, and the next video on the Datsun is going to be figuring out why it is overcharging this much. It must be something to do with the charge relay. Anyway, the brakes are working. Mud is starting to get up on the sides of the little Datsun. Yeah, it could be a nice little rally car, this one. But oh, it's so nice to just get stuff working without buying lots of stuff. I know some of you might think it's a stupid idea to reuse old rubbers in a brake master like this, and you're right, but on the other hand, they look just fine, so I think they will work just fine. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the support I get on Patreon. At the moment, that means a lot. There is a link down in the description if you want to become one. And either way, thank you for watching and see you in the next one.